What's up? I'm making this video because, I was thinking about how the football season starts tomorrow today. Well, really, this kind of happened to yesterday, but it occurred to me that I'm not in a fantasy football league yet, and I thought to myself, well, I should get into that real quick. So, went to ESPN, went to the draft lounge today, and I jumped in a couple of leagues. It's really easy to do on ESPN. And really, I do like it better than Yahoo, although I think Flea Flicker is the best setup overall, but ESPN's just perfectly fine. So I got into two leagues, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I'm always open to talk fantasy football because I do like it. It is a lot of fun to play. Okay, this first team, it's normal draft with the snake. You got 10 teams, the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and then the 10th picks first in the second round. And here's my team. My quarterbacks: Aaron Rodgers and Carson Palmer. Running backs: LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren McFadden, Derek Ward, Jamal Lewis, and Darren Sproles, because I wanted to handcuff Tomlinson in case something unfortunate happened there. Not a huge fan of these running backs, but I have a lot of them. Somebody's going to work out. Wide receiver: Randy Moss, Roddy White, Donnie Avery, Dominic Hickson, Kevin Curtis. So once again, a lot of names there. Somebody's going to work out. Obviously, Randy Moss and Roddy White very likely to have big seasons. I kind of like Donnie Avery's potential because he was good last year, and now he's probably the number one receiver. Dominic Hickson, I'm not too high on, but he has a chance. Kevin Curtis, I actually like a lot. And if Macklin doesn't pan out immediately, he's the number 2 receiver, I think. So I really like getting him in a late round. Tight end is Dallas Clark of the Colts. Backup is John Carlson. Wanted to get a one Seattle player, and he's a guy that does not go high in fantasy drafts, but I think he'll produce beyond what most people think of him this year. I like his chances of producing well this year. My kicker is Neil Rackers, and my defense is actually the Cowboys defense. I kind of like them to get a lot of quarterback pressure and get a lot of sacks at the very least. I don't know how good of a defense they really are, but I think they're good enough for me to take chances on in fantasy, because honestly, I never take kickers or defenses in fantasy football until the last rounds, if at all. Frequently, I'll just pick people off waiver wires and play matchups and stuff, because really it doesn't matter, and it's a total crapshoot anyway. I picked Rackers because I know the Cardinals can move the ball up and down the field, but they don't score. But they don't. I don't know if they have the kind of running game that'll help them score in the red zone. So I thought maybe they'd be kicking a lot of field goals, but it's a total crapshoot with kickers. You just don't know. So that's that team. Again, not a huge fan of the running backs, but somebody there is going to work out. I have Jamal Lewis on the bench. He's a good running back. Maybe he'll have a nice year with playing with a young quarterback, and maybe he'll come around. Tomlinson, I think, is going to have his last good year. McFadden, I predicted to have a good year. Ward, I don't really like, but if Cadillac Williams isn't ready to go, he's going to be the man on a team that starts maybe a rookie, or they're not going to start a very good quarterback. So I like all that. My other league, and I had fun with this one. This was an auction league where you're given $200 to start. You bid on players. Highest bid wins a player, and it keeps going until everybody has it. So this was fun, and if you haven't done this before, I think you should, because I think you'll be surprised. So give it a shot. ESPN does it. It's really easy. It can be a little time consuming, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's fun. Sorry. Quarterback: Tom Brady is starting. My backup is Jason Campbell. Near the end of the draft, I got really low on money, and I kind of had to rummage around in the bargain bin. I actually think I did all right, because I wanted to be starter heavy. I figured, I've never done an auction before, so I didn't really know how to balance my budget, and I ended up running out of money early, which is fine because my starters are great, but if somebody gets hurt, I may be in trouble. I took some chances on my bench. I kind of had to, so we'll go through that now. Again, Brady and Campbell, both those guys start. They're solid starters. I don't think their starting job is in jeopardy, so that's pretty much all I wanted out of the backup. Let's see. Running backs, I have Frank Gore. You know, he's one of those guys who may not split too many carries with somebody else, so I like that. Brandon Jacobs, I actually was going to stay away from him, but he ended up, nobody in that auction actually seemed to really want him, so I ended up getting him for cheap, and, you know, that's always cool. So I went with Jacobs, and, you know, he's a touchdown hog, so you got to like that. I also got Clinton Portis. You know, his tires are running a little, you know, his tires are getting a little flat, but he's still one of the best running backs in the league, and, you know, he's going to have a good year, I'm sure. And just in case, I did also draft Ladell Betts to back him up. You know, just in case something happens to Portis, I have his backup ready to go. Also, LaShawn McCoy. Westbrook gets hurt pretty often, so it's good to have this guy around because, you know, he's good insurance in case something happens to Westbrook. But even if something doesn't, I still think McCoy is going to make a good, solid contribution. Maybe I have to get lucky with starting him the right week, but still. Wide receivers. Calvin Johnson was my first, was the first player I actually auctioned for. I really wanted Calvin because I think he's going to have a monster year. I know he's playing with a rookie quarterback now, but I don't think it matters. He's just so good. I think he's going to dominate the league this year. I really wanted him. I also got Anthony Gonzalez. Breakout year for him. Number 2 receiver with Peyton Manning. I think he could have 1,000 yards this year if he stays healthy, and I wanted to get in on that. Deion Branch on the bench, you know, he was one of the better options left at that point, and, you know, I kind of thought if he stays healthy, he's going to produce pretty well. He's a pretty good receiver, so I thought I'd take that chance. Robert Meacham was my other receiver. First round talent. Hasn't panned out yet, but if it happens this year, I have a bargain. I think it's worth the risk. Oh, and I forgot to mention, another one of my backup running backs is Tashard Choice. I figured there's actually a chance he might start on Dallas. I mean, Barber is not really built for the starting role. Felix Jones is more of a scat back, so maybe Choice ends up starting there. I think it's worth the risk. You know, even if he doesn't, he'll contribute a little bit, so I think he's worth keeping around. Yeah, okay, that's all my running backs and wide receivers. So tight end, Jeremy Shockey, I got him for $3. I think people are sleeping a little bit on this guy because he has not been very good the last couple years, but if he stays healthy, he's a monster. He still is. He's in the Saints offense. If he can just find a way to stay healthy, he's going to be good this year, and I kind of like that pick. I'm glad to have him starting. I also have John Carlson backing him up because Carlson was still around at the very end of the draft, and I went, what the hell, right? Kicker. John Casey of Carolina. You know, I kind of picked a kicker at random at this point because I don't care. And my defense is the Cowboys' defense again. I feel like they're getting a little disrespected given how good they get, you know, quarterback pressure. So, those are my teams. Hope things work out. Remembered at the last minute to jump into a league, but I think I ended up doing pretty well. Both leagues seem like they'll be pretty active, so here's hoping. I'm out.